Okay, this is the e-NABLE R&D Hangout-On-Air for 21st of December 2015. It is, we're up and running, I guess. We're live. We have Charles Crawford with us from the Limitless Solutions guys. We've got John and Richard with us, who are frequent recurring participants in these meetings. And I tried to do the announcements out a little differently this time. I made it a public event announcement and then did the link sharing like I normally do. But the hope was that I wasn't going to have people complaining about getting spammed with notifications, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe nobody got notifications and not very many people are going to join us. But it's also a holiday week, so it could just be everybody's got other things going on. I've been thinking about something, actually, that is R&D related. I've been noticing how I grip things, large things like my phone. And you'll notice that the joints around the knuckles are a little thicker than the spaces between the knuckle and the joint. And the phone just sort of rests in that spot, which has got me thinking, because the finger bones are narrower between the knobs at the joints and the knob at the tip, I wonder if that improves grip, because the flexible material of a finger between the spaces with the larger, more solid thing at the end, if that's keeping objects pushed into the spot where grip is more secure or where the tissues are softer. So I was wondering if we design fingers to mimic the shape of bones rather than the shape of fingers, and then wrap rubber bands around the narrow parts of the joints, if that would, replace the Lee-tippy, grippy finger pieces with rubber bands, if that would be something that would make more easily available finger grip materials for people to get for these hands. And I wanted to see if anybody else had any ideas on that or any thoughts on that.
It's a good idea. You could have it concave rather than make it look more natural, and then you'd be able to hold things better.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, I've always been interested in making the flexible fingers or having the internal structure maybe solid, so if maybe they print the outside with the flexible material and then have the internal skeleton work better.
Yeah, one of our frequent recurring attendees from earlier in the year, or earlier last year, used to spend a lot of time experimenting with I forget, one of the silicone fake skins that are used in prosthetics for like movie prosthetics or for play prosthetics. For mask making, it's I forget, dragon skin or something like that. And he was using that around skeleton. He was going to try to build something so that you build the hand, with bone shapes. The joints aren't connected really, and the tendons are just wired outside of the joint, and then encase the whole thing in dragon skin silicone. And then the tendons tend to create their own channels down the center of the finger, and you don't have to hollow out the fingers to make it all stay in place. And he did some experimenting with that, but I don't know how far that ended up going.
On last Friday's town hall on the 18th of December, there was a researcher from Portugal who gave a presentation, and his hand design has fingers, solid bones, and a flexible material wrapping them. And the idea was that they would be able to be manufactured at some central site, but the other parts of the hand and arm would be able to be 3D printed locally, so that they can be sized to the patient, and then the individual fingers would then be fitted to that locally printed section. And it appeared to be that project appeared to be moving along quite successfully.
I'm gonna have to watch. That was last week's town hall?
Yeah, the 18th, last Friday.
Cool. I'll have to watch that one. I don't watch all of the town halls. I probably should. I just tend to be busy on Fridays, and then I don't always have access to a computer over the weekend. So I need to start making time on my Monday mornings to catch up on those.
We're also probably going to have Chuck and Tillis doing a note-taking for the town hall, so that the notes of what was discussed can be published, so that you can do a quick scan of it to see if there's anything interesting for you.
Okay, I will. That would actually make it a lot easier. Just a quick glance to see what's. I read a lot faster than I watch videos. I guess I could speed videos up and whenever it's on chipmunks, but I'd get through them faster. My brothers are really into audiobooks, and they all find ways to make audiobooks run at like double speed, which can be done without changing the pitch of the voice, which is kind of interesting. Mostly by getting rid of the gaps between words, and I'm not sure what else is going on, but you can get like up to 2 times as fast or 2.5 times as fast before you start noticing really difficult to parse artifacts in the audio or distortions in the audio. Well, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Can't do that with YouTube videos yet, but.
The producers of adverts for financial products are well used to that with the end of their adverts when they're obliged to put the disclaimers.
Right, the television commercial version of the fine print.
Yep.
Actually meant to be on the here a bit.
Oh, something was mentioned in one of the previous discussions I had a question on. They mentioned adding electronics to the e-NABLE hands that are all mechanical now. How would that affect some of the legality of the products, or would it change exactly what you're producing now?
Sorry, say that again?
Adding electronics to the hands that are all mechanical now, how does that affect like the all the political side of things for donating the hands and all that?
Well, I don't know what. We've been talking a lot about gathering data with the feather and things like that. I kind of suspect that we're going to use it for like pressure sensors or on the tendons to measure how much pressure the hands are being put under with people who are able to break hands quickly in our test groups. People like Peregrine and others like that that are able to. Sorry, I'm creating a Google document for this while I'm talking, so that makes it a little bit. And copy and paste this into the thing, and I'll get back to talking about the question.
Okay, well, maybe I could elaborate a little more on it. John mentioned it might be difficult to create the like feet limbs. That's the next thing Limitless is working on now, because he worries that if the feet go out, then the person could get injured versus a hand failing, right, and they just drop something. So that's why I was wondering if some of that would affect your technical progress in going from all mechanical arms to electrical and mechanical. Similarly to that.
I'm not certain. I don't know that the electronics. I mean, with the MyoWare, the electronics are crucial to how the devices actually work. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't know that. I'm not sure how electronics in that context increases liability, which would be the main concern, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
One possible factor is the classification, the government classification. We're currently classified, right, as an assistive device. Right. I think there's probably even more technical elaboration on that. And I'd imagine, Charles, that it's that classification that you've got a concern about.
Yep. Yeah, you've got it. I'm not sure how Limitless does it versus how e-NABLE does it, but as you said, using your own human muscle to control something versus electronics to control it does change that a little bit.
Yep.
I think even if it's electrical, like the Limitless arm, it's still a assistive device. It's just using electricity, reading basically the muscle movement, the myoelectric, as it's called. I mean, you know, yeah, it's a step up from what our mechanical ones are, but it's still doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what liability concerns are or what the other legal classification concerns are.
I've seen some hands already out there. They basically are even using the like the Raptor reloaded hand, and I can't remember who the guy is, but he made like this Iron Man hand. It's just the gauntlet and the hand. It's not a full arm like the Limitless one, where it requires, you know, or well, obviously the person had a wrist, but or didn't have the wrist, but had more than enough forearm for it to attach it to, so that they could actually function the hand. And it's got the sensor for the myoelectric was built into the gauntlet, just like a little piece. It's probably about 1.5 inches long, oval, looked like an oval racetrack almost, with where the electrodes touch the skin through that, and they were able to function the hand with that. The gauntlet, of course, was a little bulkier, but not significantly bad.
Right, you need a little bit of space for the electronics to go in.
Yeah. I
Remember
wish
who
I could
posted
find
that?
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that link. If you get a chance to find it, go ahead and, if you find it while we're on the Hangout, go ahead and post it in the notes or in the comments, or the sidebar. But if you find it later, post it in the notes and I'll get notified. I'll get to read on that. Some of the smaller Myo hands are interesting. I'd like to see more about them. So we used to have the little search tool in the sidebar on in groups in Google Plus, and that seems to have gone away. Is there a way to search a community that I'm just not seeing?
Are you using the new Google site or the original?
The new.
You're using the new.
Yeah, I know on the original it was on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Right
I
below.
gave up with the new. I went back to the original. I found too many problems with it.
I understand.
Have you noticed that it doesn't tell you that there's something new in the community? The old one, when there's a new post, even without refreshing the screen, it will come up with an indicator that there's something new.
Yeah, it doesn't do that now. I have to refresh it.
Yep, the new one doesn't tell you.
I get notifications anytime something new gets posted in the e-NABLE group, but I don't see the little thing at the top of the screen telling me there are new posts.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a bad design.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I saw that as being too much a backward step to warrant pursuing it any further.
Yeah, that might be worth writing a feedback message to them about. We do take feedback seriously. If enough people post about it, I think that.
I'll have to try and figure out how to send them feedback.
I'm looking to see if I can find it. Well, on the new one, if you go to the three bars in the upper left-hand corner and pull it down, at the bottom there's a send feedback. I think on the old one, if you just scroll down, you might have to go to the new one to do it.
Right.
So that you can take the screenshot showing what you're complaining about.
Yep. I might give it a try.
But then go back when you're done.
I also found that the section that listed the events had disappeared. So trying to join an event that I knew was about to begin, I couldn't find the section listing the events. So again, that was a reason to back off and go back to the old one.
Where is it, an event? Spot in the corner. I wonder if there's a. Yeah, those are both things that are too useful to do without. They need to bring them back. I tend to jump on board with the new things pretty quickly because I want to be aware of how they work and I want to learn everything about where things are going. And sometimes when they do something that's wrong, it's important to give them feedback to let them know why it's wrong and why it needs to come back. It bothers me that using Gmail to search the e-NABLE group gives me faster results than trying to use the Google Plus interface to search for things.
Did anyone see that post by John? Roy's arm? It was an interesting woodcut laser arm that was using Roy's arm animatronic robot. So I like the kit you could buy for however much, and with that you could kind of build your own arm. And I liked how they had servos built into the hand, the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe reverse engineering that to be used in 3D printed hands would be something to go look into.
I didn't notice that one.
I just posted a link to the Roy's arm. It's $350 for the kit, but it has everything there. And it was something done at like a maker fair recently.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. Yeah, looks like a neat gadget.
Here's a quick, like, 19-second video on YouTube of it running. It shows we can bend the wrist back and forth. We can move the thumb. And can move each finger. I like how the servos are in the hand palm rather than the arm, the lower arm. So you can, if someone is not missing as much, they could still have all the finger movement without maybe having the wrist. But maybe one worry about having too much weight on the front versus down here. So I'm just wondering what you guys thought of moving the servos from there to the palm.
I have to admit, I am very skeptical about the use of standard servos in prosthetics, period. They seem all well and good for a science fair demo, but I just would take a lot of convincing that they're going to stand up to the rigors of prosthetic use. Do you have any field feedback to say that I'm misjudging them?
No, I think you're probably right for a lot of reasons. The weight, for one, power consumption is another big concern, and even for like the limitless arms, they'll grip and then it'll be holding that until they flex again and it lets go. So just using that. Well, so I haven't worked with them enough to see the long-term effect of that, but we use just one servo to open and close the hand. So I don't know. It's something to look into. Just try building something, see if it works or not.
Mm-hmm.
I like to test out, what I build. So it's fun walking around work with newest invention.
Yep.
So I'm going to watch some of that video real quickly just to
Okay, go ahead.
Just to let people see. Don't know how good the video is going to be when it's actually recorded. But
Yeah, the ability to move the thumb around is an interesting ability. Not just to close the thumb, but to change its attack angle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, to be able to sliding where the thumb moves from. I don't have that motion with my thumb. I've only got this socket. This joint is the only one that actually does anything with my thumb. I've got some motion, but I don't have. I mostly move my thumb into a position and then everything's fingered. But yeah, being able to change the position of the thumb, I'm under the impression, maybe it's just because of my hand, that being able to relocate where your thumb is to grip against is more important than being able to actuate the thumb, being able to, grab, having the thumb move in around the thing and grabbing.
Right.
Just moving the thumb to where it needs to be and then having the fingers oppose it. I don't mind a thumb being stationary once it's in position to oppose, but being able to change how it's positioned is something that I think's of use.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages of putting it in the palm. That way they could adjust it quicker. It'd be harder to have the wire pulling it.
Long cables, and there's some latency whenever you add distance.
And you also don't really want to be working against a spring and pulling against a spring. With the thumb, it really needs to be pushed both ways if you're going to be relocating it. So that's close location and mechanical coupling of the servo to the thumb would be a benefit.
So kind of before we started recording, I was showing the Myo wear sensor. Have you guys seen the other like Myo wristband where you put it on your arm and then you'll be able to control your computer? There's another thing I saw John mention, and there's use of that in kind of prosthetics already. I saw there was a guy using a more complex arm, and he had two of them on his arm that he helped control it with.
One of the things that has been concluded about the Myo wear arm, and I don't know if this is real or not, but the Myo arm, is that it's not. It's got some myoelectric sensors, but most of what it's doing is from motion sensors and things that are in your cell phone that tilt, measure tilt,
The accelerometers.
Yeah, accelerometers and tilt sensors, and that it's getting more information about what your arm is doing from the motions that it feels than it does from the muscle signals that it's receiving. And that's interesting. I'm curious how that would help with grabbing at the right time when you're reaching out. I guess you're still getting some myo feedback to tell it to start grabbing, and knowing that your arm is going in this direction gives it some information that tells it use this grip instead of that grip. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of on my wish list of things to buy, because it looked like they had like 3 Myo sensors, and that would read pinky to thumb to activate, and then other gestures to activate different uses. Here's a video of a prosthetic arm being used with the Myo band. This is a pretty advanced hand.
I found something similar. This isn't exactly it, but this is pretty close.
Driving down the road, I had my arm laid on the bottom.
Sorry.
Controlled by thought. Uh-oh.
Yeah, not really. Kind of exaggerated for marketing reasons.
Be a lot of middle fingers sticking up.
Yeah.
Hopefully not unfiltered thought is what you're saying?
Whoops.
Yeah, that looks like that is the Myo sensor, isn't it?
Yep.
That doesn't make me happy. That much more of a drive is that ain't
I've seen that guy before. He tests a lot of the Mayo arms.
As they're saying now. He's become something of a guinea pig for experimental prosthetics.
He's got 2 of those Mayo bands on his arm.
Right? Just what Charles was saying earlier.
Yeah.
The company that makes those has actually been doing a giveaway, 12-day giveaway.
Yeah.
On those. Anybody win one yet?
I don't know.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Johnny's implant allows for more strength and mobility, but maybe more impressive is he can keep the arm with his thoughts. For this, he had to undergo another surgery to rearrange the nerve surfaces of the arm. Alright, so you're actually witnessing something that has never been done before. Johnny is controlling that limb.
You know, Robert. Well, from seeing him interact with us online.
Elbow flexion, ready, go. Hand open, go. Wrist rotate in, go. Ready, and go, and go, and go.
It's hard. You got to hundreds of thousands of times. Exercise. It's trying to get different dips and rotations. So anyone that, right after the surgery, they think they can step right back into it, start working.
Yeah, I imagine that learning muscle memory for that is going to be a little more difficult too, because
Feel how hard or soft something is, to understand its texture and even its temperature. As he moves forward, Johnny represents a future where robotics goes from being a tool we use to actually becoming a part of us.
I want also an arm. I want to
I'm going to stop it.
actual.
Unless you guys want to finish watching it.
Certainly for the high-end industrial prosthetics, that's the obvious avenue for development.
Okay. So wait, if you think we're gonna add maybe like a servo for each finger, and then maybe something like that might be useful.
Yeah, possibly. Again, having all of those servos inside of the space of the palm starts getting a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like having a servo for the thumb in the palm.
If you don't have the recipient's own vestigial palm in the palm, then you can fill it full of mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a volume in there that can be filled with servos and any other components that would be necessary.
Mm-hmm. So, has anyone seen the Luke arm from Dean Kamen, Deca Labs? They kind of control it with their feet, it looks like. There's 2 sensors. They just kind of tap a button on, and then they're able to move their arm with their feet, basically.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. That one got a lot of the military DARPA funding, so it was a lot of research put into it. It's probably the best prosthetic there is now. Let's see if I can find the video.
Some arm, and look quite a few videos and such. Stephen Gaiman certainly knows how to name the things he comes up with. The things that are catchy that everybody quickly knows what it means.
I think it certainly shows the importance of having a multitude of groups working in parallel, ranging from the large industrials through to the consultancies, and then at the far end, frankly, is us. We're pretty much at one extreme, in the low-tech end.
Right. Or the easy access end.
Exactly. There's room for everybody.
I like the idea of trying to see what the top of the line arms do and then recreate that for makers to be able to make for a low cost. So just because it's inexpensive doesn't mean it can't have all the same features.
Right. I'm interested in playing around with sensory feedback, the ability to feel things when you touch them with the prosthetic. But I'm not certain what the best ways to do that are.
Yeah, that's kind of next on the to-do list for Limitless as well. They were probably going to use like pager motors that would vibrate based on the pressure being applied.
These are, what do you call them? They're bone conductive transceivers, or transducers. They vibrate on my skull and create audio that I can hear. So this is my Bluetooth headset as my hat. The transducers are not very expensive. You can find them on Adafruit's website, or Adafruit's website, and you could basically just send an audio signal to them. So you could have a sensor on the prosthetic's finger that sends something to an Arduino that, depending on which sensors got triggered, could cause either a different transducer to trigger or could cause the transducers to trigger at a different frequency. We have a lot of neuroplasticity. I think the different frequency thing is something that your brain would quickly learn to translate as sensation with which fingers being, in contact with something. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure if that's a great idea or if that's just, I guess this is R&D, and there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, feedback. Yeah, pager motors are a great way to buzz it when you come into contact with something. Increase the buzz frequency based on how firm of contact is being sensed.
You'd probably want to increase the volume rather than the frequency, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that would. Well, I mean, the pagers are, yeah, with this volume would maybe be a better, with transducers, volume would probably be a better way of adjusting force. If you're using pager motors, they're cheap enough that instead of adjusting frequency depending on what finger it is, you could have a bunch of different pager motors in different places on your wrist or on your forearm or upper arm to deliver the sensory data to, and you'd be able to tell which finger you're touching something with pretty quickly that way. What would be cool would be the ability to reach out with something in the dark and grab something and feel it when you've got a good grip on it. Be able to pick up a glass of water off the bedside table and get a drink out of it without turning the light on at night. You know, the kind of things that we actually use pressing the touch for, where it's actually important.
Although this might seem flippant, for that specific requirement, it makes me wonder whether or not the simple LED on the hand itself, which at night would basically, it would start to illuminate as it felt pressure, and possibly once it got to a point of typical holding pressure, if there is such a thing, because really the holding pressure depends upon the shape of the object and the weight of the object, but you could possibly have it that once you got to holding pressure, it started flashing, and so it would start to light up as you applied pressure, and then it would flash once it got to the point when you would be able to pick it up.
Maybe have a blinking frequency change depending on how much pressure is being applied.
That would be another way of doing it, yeah. Rather than change the brightness, just change the blink frequency.
Right. So that you know when you've got a hold of the cup, the can, and you know when you've got enough force to squeeze the can.
Right.
Yeah. With LEDs, you could even do colors, multiple colors. And
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. What do you think of battery placement on the hand? We want to keep the hand as light as possible, so sometimes they run it down to the waist, or put it like on the shoulder. What do you think would be a good place for something? Probably the most heavy part.
Yeah, it depends on. I don't know. I like the idea of running a cable to something that's hung on the belt or shirt pocket, or if it has to be harnessed on, then something that hangs on the harness. For arms that need the upper arm for supporting things, I don't think that the extra weight of a battery is going to be a big deal. And I don't know if other people are like me, but my left arm is my stronger arm. Well, the shoulder. Because I carry all my weight on my left shoulder so that my more dexterous fingers are available to do things. So, you know, like I'll put 1,000 bags on my left shoulder or on my left elbow to hold them so that my right arm is free so that I can open the door or deal with the trunk or, you know, whatever. I always slung my backpack over my left shoulder because I had more strength there. So I suspect that we might be worrying too much about how heavy the batteries are for a lot of these hands. I suspect that other people are going to see similar results, that they use their less capable arm for the things that don't require dexterity, so that the more dexterous hand is available to do the more difficult tasks. But I don't know if that's always true or not.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I don't think that it matters a whole lot where the batteries are hanging. If it's too heavy to have the battery, like if it's pulling the prosthetic off the wrist when they're moving around, or if it's, you know, heavy in that regard, then having a cable go up the sleeve and then come down to a battery pack that hangs on the belt, or can be put in a shirt pocket, or whatever. I can see the benefits of that. You get some resistance from the longer cable, but it's not a huge issue. The trick is making sure that the cable doesn't get tangled on things or catch on things or get in the way or create a mess. You don't want to wreck the hand because you caught the cable on a door handle or something. Or it got snagged on the bag that you're carrying on your shoulder and took your arm off when you set the bag down.
Cool. What do you think of the type of battery? Because you can get like a lighter weight, better power consumption, like laptop battery, but then that's harder for to get another one of, or you have to special order that for every arm, versus like a rechargeable 9 volt as in your design. So
well, there's a lot of decent. Let's go look at the Adafruit website again, because they've got a lot of different rechargeable batteries for different projects that can be charged with a USB cable that aren't too massive.
How about getting a hoverboard battery? That no one's having any trouble with those.
right. Just power everything with Tesla coil, wireless.
And everybody wonders why the hair on the back of the neck stands up when you come near them.
Yeah.
No trouble with a hoverboard if your last name is Hotfoot.
That's right. You just have to supply a fire extinguisher with every one.
So I was talking about Adafruit's. Let's share this. You guys all see it? So I'm going to the shop section. Yeah, power.
Are you showing off your Christmas wish list here, Trouble?
The whole website?
Now, you just want one of everything, don't you?
Pretty much. I'm not that picky when it comes to tech. I want it all. So here,
That's something what I got here, yeah.
Yeah, these lithium-ion polymer batteries are got a lot of different ones, a lot of different milliamp hours listed. But they've also got little boards that are useful for maintaining the charge and keeping them charged correctly. Most of those batteries are fairly low.
Yeah, those are just for the Arduino. They need maybe a separate one for powering the servos.
Right. Yeah, this is one of this micro LiPo with micro USB jack. It has the charger board with it, so.
Yeah, I got that guy too.
This one's a 2,000 milliamp hour. We're probably going to need a lot. You probably need several batteries. If you were going to be running a board all day. Here's a case for a battery holder for you can keep a bag of rechargeable AA's on your belt, or rechargeable 9 volts on your belt.
Yeah.
Quickly start to look like Batman, though. Which is not a downside. Here's an 8 AA battery holder.
Yeah, I saw you could 3D print the battery holders and kind of add your own paper clips or whatever to wires to put them in series.
Les's 3D printed battery holders for his Arduino test boards. It's got some that are pretty cool. 6 AA. This is 4,400 milliamp hour. That's pretty decent. I wonder how much it weighs.
Mhm. Yeah. Instead of having multiple of them as backups, you could always have it just disconnect and plug in a new one.
Right. This is 3.5 ounces. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, 95 grams for the metric crowd.
I think one of the keys would be to try and minimize the amount of current draw when there is no motion.
Right.
And the standby draw should be kept to the absolute bare minimum.
Right.
Yep, there was talk with some of the students of having like a toothbrush charger where you don't have to plug in a battery or a port, just have it near contact with the arm, and you'll be able to charge it with that, like a docking station. You can put it.
I think
Yeah, they're just doing electromagnetic coils and for the toothbrush chargers, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm kind of against it because the extra weight that would need to be added for a system like that versus just unplugging the battery.
Right.
But it makes it easier to have it sealed all in one piece. So maybe for washing the arm, you won't have to worry about that, or taking the battery in and out to break something.
Yeah, the electronics can all be housed in watertight plastic, and you never have to expose any of the electronics to anything, even to charge it. It's kind of nice. Or something like the wireless cell phone chargers that you just take your arm off and set it on the charger next to your phone on the side of your bed.
just stick the 2 fingers into the power socket.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's it.
Those aren't silverware drawers either.
Cool. I just had maybe one last crazy thought. I was wondering about controlling arms, especially with multiple servos, and I was looking at Kinects, how they could see movement. If you had like a Kinect built into the arm, some kind of webcam, and you'd be able to see whatever is approaching it, and then if it's someone to shake, it would know to make a hand to shake. If it's something needs to grab onto, it would know to grab it. So the hand kind of thinks on its own, but there's a lot of programming you need to do with something like that.
Yeah, and the Kinect itself would be pretty large, but you could probably do like a leap motion would be a nice device for detecting the shape of something that you're approaching. Having a leap controller in the palm would be kind of cool. I've got one of those handy, actually. So this is one of those leap motion controllers.
Okay, cool. Pretty good
Another
size.
digital.
Do you need to be a certain distance away from it?
Yeah, it's all infrared cameras. Got like 4 or so, 5 maybe infrared cameras in it. So it's you set it on the table in front of you and do hand gestures in front of it to move windows around on your screens or whatever. It helps if you have normal shaped hands. It has difficulty recognizing my left hand as a hand, and it's usually accurate with my right hand, but sometimes it loses track of the thumb or thinks my hand's upside down or things like that. So it's not great at detecting my hands. But if you're using it to just detect shapes in the world around you, have a hand adjust for it quickly, you're going to need some sort of CPU to translate the data and figure out how to adjust the hand to match what it's coming towards. That's going to be quite a bit of current draw. I'm not sure how much. It's running on USB ports. It's USB 3, connector. But they're putting these in VR headsets for detecting where your hands are when you're interacting with the virtual world. And some of them can even give you the infrared view of the world around you on the head-mounted display that you're wearing, so that you can tap a button and switch to seeing what's around you, so that you can reach over and pick up the soda again, and then tap it again to go back into the virtual world.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the leap motion would be a fun thing to play with. I like the idea where you're going with that, detecting the shape of what you're reaching for and adjusting the hand to match it. I don't know how much processing power that would take. I don't know how much extra electricity just for the CPUs to handle that. This might be something that needs a Raspberry Pi or a BeagleBone or an Edison even. I don't know though. I don't know what the requirements for that would be. It could be something where your cell phone controls or reads the input and controls the hand, which would result in having a cell phone mount on your wrist so that you could use it, and then when you're not using it for making calls or surfing the web or whatever, then it goes into an app that controls the hand when you need it to do things. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, as far as ways to reduce the amount of extra batteries you have to carry in your arm, if you have to do extra CPU, if you need extra computation cycles, using your cell phone might be a decent way to answer that problem.
Let's face it, they've had an enormous amount of engineering effort gone into them to reduce the power drain to the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to reinvent all of that.
Right. Most of the problems we would be trying to solve are already solved by the tech, so that's useful.
And let's face it, most of us carry them around with us anyway, so why not just use them for an additional purpose?
Right.
Yeah. That's all the questions I had. I don't know if I'm holding you guys up. Normally they're about an hour long, these videos.
Usually they go anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. We've had a few 3-hour long ones, but yeah, about an hour is probably what I should probably start heading home. My kid brother's in town, and he wanted to watch the Star Wars in 3D tonight.
Oh,
so
nice.
I might go do that. I'm a recovering Mormon. My family are all Mormons. So my youngest brother is 18 years younger than me, and I'm the oldest of 7.
Recovering Mormon? What is that?
Most of us in the atheist communities use recovering to describe our former religion.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of that before.
It's not so bad now. I've been an ex-Mormon for 20 years, but there was a long stretch of time where I had all these weird knee-jerk reactions to things that I didn't really think about. Like I thought I hated iced tea because Mormons don't drink tea, and I never tried it. I just thought the idea was disgusting or something. And it was until I really started rethinking all of the hang-ups that I had been trained all my life with that I started realizing how much of this stuff is cultural indoctrination. It's harder to shake than you realize. So I still have a lot of those kind of things that I have to cope with. So yeah.
Have you figured out anything else for us going to CES?
I'm still trying to get an answer from my boss. He said he was going to talk to the owner and see what they can pull off. But it's a soft yes. So I'm going to. What that means is that I'm probably not going to do an HOA that day. I might have to talk to Lydia or somebody else to host the R&D Hangout, or I'll be hosting the R&D Hangout from Vegas that night.
No, the R&D Hangout is on Monday.
Right.
That's the 4th.
Yeah, it starts on Tuesday, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd be.
No. It starts on the 6th.
Oh, on the 6th. Okay.
It's the 6th through the 9th.
So that's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I can probably do it then. Then no worries there.
Again, it would be kind of cool to do the R&D Hangout from CES.
Right. Or just do an HOA from CES just to see if people have. Well, if we see something cool, it'd be fun to do a recorded hangout or just a recorded video just to show what we're running into as we wander about.
The nice part about where this, where we're going to have that exhibit at, is in where all the 3D printers are at.
Of course.
So all the 3D printer companies and stuff will be right there.
Cool. That'll put me right where I want to be for most of the things I need to look up. If I'm going to be working while I'm there, or if I'm going to consider it working while I'm there, I'm probably going to have to spend some time visiting the, I don't know, probably some of the vehicle manufacturers.
Oh, well, you know those will be there.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time interacting with CAN bus networks, which are primarily used in automotive, although also often used in machine shops and things like that. The controller area networks. That's what the ODB2 port under your dashboard connects into, is the CAN bus network under there. And so I can see some things that I could probably convince my bosses to pay me while I'm there if there were things there that I could find that are related to the work I do here.
Yeah, I wish I had a banner or something to display there. They're letting me have a whole table and everything.
Are any of the other people from our group going to be at the CES this year? Or do we know anybody?
I haven't heard from anybody that's wanted. And Justine put the word out, but nobody said anything. They just asked me tonight, too, if we could get John Scholl to come out.
We should ask him.
Because I guess they want to wine and dine him.
Well,
they put a proposal to John to offer some bennies to the e-NABLE members for filament and 3D printers and everything.
It's certainly worth following up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I probably should start wrapping this up. I'm gonna have to get out of here in a few minutes.
You want a copy of this, right?
Yeah, can you?
Yep.
You got the link, right?
Yeah, I actually have it still open.
Yeah.
Richard, if you haven't done so already, you might want to just send an email directly to John just to clarify what's happening with the CES.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Feel free to CC me.
CES?
I've heard of it, but I've never been to one.
Yeah, it's the Consumer Electronics Symposium or show. I'm not
I
sure.
think it's just show.
Yeah. So
You
it's
just like to use
where
them
all the
fancy words.
it's where everybody talks about their blue sky research products that might be coming out to the market in the next year. Some of it's really cool stuff that actually does hit the market. That's where the 4K TVs were first being shown. Some of it's really far out, and I haven't seen show up anywhere else yet. But it's all very interesting stuff. Somebody was playing around with weird contact lenses that changed the focus depth of your eye in combination with a pair of glasses that had the electronics that sent the signal changing the shape of the contact lenses that allowed you to basically turn your eyeball into a zoom lens, which was kind of bizarre to be able to.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy stuff. You could get your vision to zoom in on things that were across the room and read fine print at a distance, and according to what people were saying about it. But I don't know. I'd be a little nervous about putting untested tech right on my eyeball.
Yeah.
I'm not even willing to put tested tech on my eyeball.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. This was the the e-NABLE R&D Hangout for 2015, December 21st, and
I believe it's the last one of the year.
it will be. The next one will be on the 4th. So, you guys next year, and maybe see you face to face next year pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, Happy New Year.